First of all, before I start this, I want to send you to the DaelithTN channel. She has some very good videos on canning, dehydrating, recipes. She did this one video about it's called My Garden Answers, and it's an app that you can check leaves or, plants you don't know. You can check them on this app. I actually had to use that at work today. That came in very, very handy. So please check out her channel. Awesome channel. Starting with the 3 YouTubers that have influenced me the most, I would say Linda's Pantry. I have learned so much from that channel over the years. I first started pressure canning in 2012. I had done water bath canning prior to that, but I learned so much on that channel. From canning to recipes, just an amazing channel. The next channel I would like to mention is Our Half Acre Homestead, the Mrs. Wolfe, Bev. Again, an excellent channel. I've been watching, probably since 2012. I really enjoyed learning all of the skills that Bev has to offer on her channel, all the different ideas, the variety of videos she puts out, and she's still at it, as is Linda, of course. And the last channel I wanted to mention is More to Life. Mandy at More to Life has put out a lot of very, very interesting videos. I recently canned butter for the first time. I had never canned butter before. And, I watched her video on canning butter and another one, but I can only mention 3, so I'm not going to mention the other channel. But anyway, I have learned a lot from Mandy. She has a lot of skills to share. She does soaping, a lot of really, really interesting videos. Sprouting, so many videos. 3 things I'm good at. I'm good at DIY. I had my kitchen renovated in 2010 and I demolished the old kitchen. The only one thing I needed help for was for someone to come and cut the pipe. I did not have the proper tool to cut the pipe, so I could remove the sink, the counter, etc. I did that. I tiled my kitchen floor. That's the one and only time I tiled. Now, it wasn't a perfect job, but it was pretty good for a first time. So I'm good at DIY. Let me just check my notes. I should know what I'm good at, automatically without having to check notes. Okay, so yes, all right. Canning food, preserving food, fermenting food. I am good at that. I enjoy it. It is nice to have food in a pantry that you can access whenever you need it. For instance, on Friday night, when I would usually grocery shop, I didn't. I went to electrolysis after work, came home, did the housework. Saturday was a public holiday. I had no groceries. I had my mother over. So what did I do? I pulled this, that, and the other from the pantry, and we had a very delicious meal. So yes, canning, preserving, doing all that. I enjoy that a lot. Another thing that I'm good at, and I've done plenty of, is uploading photos and commemorating fallen soldiers of World War I on the everymanremembered.org website. It's a website run by the British Legion. Now, I started to do this in 2015. July 12th, 2015 is a 100-year anniversary of a day during the Gallipoli campaign where many of the young men from my father's hometown in Scotland died. So when this 100th anniversary came along, I was able to obtain photos of many of these men, which I in turn uploaded. So I have at this point, because I haven't done just that, I've uploaded many Canadian soldiers. I typically do it around major anniversaries of World War I. I have commemorated upwards of 300 fallen World War I soldiers on this site. So Anyway, I'm very good at that, and I will do more. If I could upload and commemorate photos for the remaining 800 and whatever thousand men that are on that site, I would do it, but I can't do it alone. So I will leave a link to that site below, and I'll leave a link to one of the profiles, one of the men who fell on that day of July 12th, 1915. Lance Corporal Noah Ludskie, King's Own Scottish Borderers, one of the missing, later reported killed at the Dardanelles on July 12, 1915. A national reservist, Lance Corporal Ludskie took part in the South African campaign and was 37 years of age. So, what 3 things excite me the most? Well, anyone who knows me knows that genealogy is the number one thing that excites me. Speaking of my mother's side, my mother knew very little about her grandparents. My mother did not meet either of her grandfathers. She knew one was from Kildare and was tall, and she knew the other one was from Tipperary, and he had grown up on a farm, okay? I researched, and while I was researching, there were other people on the other side of the world researching. We all came together because we were related, and I have met these wonderful, wonderful people. With regards to the grandfather that was from Tipperary, as my mother was growing up, she always heard about this farm. And when I was growing up, I heard about a farm. My mother had never been to the farm. She just heard about a farm. Well, in 2012, my mother was able to go to that farm. And she was able to go to that farm because the kind relatives that we met. With regards to the grandfather that was tall and from Kildare, in 2014, I went to London and picked up his war records. Now, this is key because in Canada, we commemorate the armistice. November 11th in Canada is Remembrance Day. So when I was growing up at that, stage, children stayed home on Remembrance Day. And I always remember my mother, sitting us in front of the television and watching the ceremonies live from Ottawa, not knowing her own grandfather lost a leg in World War I. So connecting with family, picking up these records, and everything in between. I hold a very large collection of records. We now have family lore, and we now have stories to pass down. So yes, genealogy excites me. Another thing that I'm excited about is YouTube. Making connections with such a diverse amount of people. Very, very interesting people I'm making connections with on YouTube. It's also learning skills, sharing skills. I find this very exciting. Every time I see that someone else has subscribed to me, cool. I'm excited about that. So another thing that excites me is traveling. Now, I haven't done traveling in a little while. I was doing a bit of traveling a few years ago, and I had very kind relatives who let me stay with them. If not for them, I wouldn't have been able to. Right. What 3 things do I do to relax? I like listening to music. I like watching videos on YouTube. I like watching Irish news and Irish programs on the RTE player. I like listening to radio programs from Ireland. I do that to relax. Well, the 3rd thing I like to do to relax is spend time at my garden. Now, you know, on one hand, sometimes it's stressful. Oh, God, I gotta go water, I gotta go weed. But once I am there, once I'm doing it, I find it very relaxing and I get a lot of joy out of it. So I now have to tag 5 channels. Aha. Okay, so the first one is Nova Scotia Living. The second one is COCO NOelle. The third is Angie's Pantry. The fourth is Jazz-makin-you-smile. And the fifth is Juggling Balance. And I will leave links to all of these channels in the information below. There we go. Private John Hogg, King's Own Scottish Borderers. Missing since July 12, 1915. A son of Mr. Henry Hogg. He joined after the war broke out and was employed at the Border Telegraph Office.